Okay, so this video is going to be recorded, so if you do not want yourself to be shown, make sure you just turn your video off. Also, just make sure your mic is muted throughout the lesson, and if you have any questions, just type them to me and hopefully I will see them. I'll try and kind of check back. And so for those of you who do not know me, my name is Willow, and I have a studio here in Rochester, in Southwest Rochester, called Wilhelmina Art Studio. And so I'm just started doing these free online classes just to kind of get everyone together and get creative and paint together. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over all the supplies that you need to have out in front of you so we can get started doing this awesome painting. So what you're going to need is a paper plate, and that paper plate is going to be called your palette. Okay, so you're going to need acrylics. So you're going to need the primaries. So you can see here, this is how I have my palette all mixed up. So I have the primaries, blue, red, yellow. Then I have white and black on my palette, okay? So I like to start off and have my palette just like this, so it's all nice and spread out. So as I start mixing colors, they can start merging together and expanding outward, okay? And then make sure you also have some brushes, okay? So I'm gonna be using a square brush, so you can see that one right there. So that is my square. I have a round brush. So there's my round. And if you have a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, that's totally fine. Just use what you have on hand. And then also optional, a detail brush. So if you have just a really nice thin brush like that, that works great. These are all synthetic bristles. So they're all synthetic, so they work great for acrylic painting. So we'll be using those today. Now what we're going to be painting is a rainy day, and it's going to be of a woman behind her, and you're going to see her yellow dress. And I was just mentioning earlier, you can see I'm wearing yellow. I felt like that would be very appropriate for this painting. And then on the background, it's going to be dark, kind of bluish, cool colors, and then warm. And we're going to do some fun drippiness behind it. So this is going to be for sure a power painting session. So it's an hour-ish. We might go over just a little bit, but really, I love doing these kind of paintings because it really forces you to go out of your comfort zone. Don't think so much, don't overthink so much, and really just put color down, have fun, and enjoy yourself. So we're gonna be doing that today. Now, just a few other little things. Make sure you have a paper towel, make sure you have a water container, and if you wanna have maybe 2 water containers, that way if one gets really dirty, you can move on to the other one. Again, just making it simpler so you can just keep on going. You don't have to stop, get up, and get more. And make sure lots of paper towels, okay? So we're gonna go ahead, get a pencil. I'm gonna be using a black Sharpie because I realized the first video I did, I used a pencil. It was very hard to see through the video. So I'm using a black Sharpie. Make sure you're using a pencil and sketching very, very lightly. And so we're gonna go ahead, you guys, and we're gonna get started. Here we go. So let's get all of this with our pencil. So we're gonna start off with the body of the woman, because that is our focal point in this painting. So she is going to be about in this area here.
Is she gonna be huge or just small or just
She's going to be a medium size. Okay, and make sure, Kexon, use that chat please when you want to have a question. Okay, so now we're gonna go medium size. So we're gonna go ahead, let's first put in an umbrella just so we can kind of get that shape in first and then work down, all right? So we're gonna go ahead with the umbrella. I'm gonna just put a little mark here. Let me get a little closer so you can see. So a mark here, and then we're gonna put a mark right about here. So it's gonna be a fairly large umbrella. And so once we have those 2 marks on our canvas, and I'm using a 12 by 16 canvas, and so that's a nice size to do for a really quick painting, but if you have smaller, like 11 by 14, or something even square, 12 by 12, that is totally fine to use. And so what we're going to do is we're gonna kind of create a little bit of a bridge, but it's gonna have a point at the top. And then this is gonna be our umbrella shape. like that. And don't worry if you don't meet up to your lines perfectly. We do not want perfect. Perfect is overrated. Okay, so now once we have kind of a bridge that goes up to a little bit of a point, that is the top of our umbrella. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do some scallops for the bottom of our umbrella. Now just kind of do an imaginary line. You're gonna go ahead and it's gonna go in this kind of direction. So you're going down, 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 and then it's gonna come to a point, and then you're gonna work your way up. So it's almost like the mirror image of what we just did is gonna be down below. But instead of a curve, we're gonna do scallops. So go ahead from this corner here, we're gonna curve up just a little bit and then go down like that, okay? So it's like little mini curves, and then we're gonna go ahead, once you have that one curve, you stop, then go ahead again, go up and curve down. Now we're gonna work our way though, make sure we're going at a diagonal, so we might bring this one down a little bit more. Okay, and then we're gonna go up like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and work our way over to the right. Up again. And again, and it's okay if it gets a little bit smaller, your scallops, as you get closer to the edge. So that is going to be our umbrella for our scallops. Now, how this is going to happen is because we're seeing the back of the umbrella, really, instead of this being the top, actually the top is going to be right about here. So once you finish those scallops, we're gonna go ahead and put a dot right here. So about an inch down from the top that we put in, we're gonna put a dot there. And so what that dot is, that's actually going to be the top of the umbrella, because imagine you're holding the umbrella and it's tipped back on your shoulder, so you would see more of the umbrella. So what we're going to do from that dot, you're gonna draw lines to the areas that have the pointy part of the scallop. So you're gonna curve and go to the pointy part of the scallop here, and here, and here. Don't worry about it if it's not totally all together yet. This is just the beginning. So now here, this is where it gets a little tricky. So what you're going to do is you're gonna bring it over to the outer edge here. So all the way up and over to here. So all the way like that. And here too, all the way over to there. And then what we're going to do is you're gonna go up and over and up and over like that, okay? And we can kind of round this out a little bit more if we want to. We don't want it as much of a point on the top. Okay. I'm just gonna round that out just a tiny bit more. Don't worry if you have extra lines everywhere. It'll all work out. So there we have a really nice umbrella and we see the back of it. So now we're getting a bit of some 3D action happening. And then we're gonna go ahead and put the body in. So the body's gonna come in right about here, like that. And then we're gonna go ahead, have a skirt in here, and then the legs are gonna come down. So that is gonna be our next step, just sketching it out. Then we're gonna go to the fun colors of painting behind it and get a really nice background in. So why don't we go ahead and let's go in and start sketching the body. So think of it kind of a heart shape for the back of the woman. So we're gonna go ahead and start right about here. And the other side's gonna be about here. And so what you're going to do, imagine, so here's at the top of our heart from the umbrella, and then the body, the back of her kind of comes in a little bit like this, then like this. And what's cool, this is gonna have sort of like a Parisian illustrative fashion look to it. So it's gonna be really fun and a painting that will look really great in like your hallway or in your mud room or laundry room. I think it would look so adorable. So then once we have these curved lines that are out and then they come in, because this is actually going to be the waist area, we're gonna go ahead and put some arms in. We're not gonna be getting very, very specific here, just super general with our shapes. So what I'm gonna do, the arm is going to be coming really close to the side right here. And it's gonna go out just a little bit, about to here. And let's do it on the other side too, so that way we're doing both at the same time. So right about here. Then you're gonna go down and out just a little. So this is gonna be her elbow right here. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and bring it in to about where the waist is and up. See that? So I did a little curve, then go up. So same over here, curve, and then up. There we go. So it looks like the arms are kind of tucked in a little bit on the side. Excuse me. Beautiful. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and get the skirt. So we wanna have it nice and flowy. We don't want it just to be dense and still. We wanna look like maybe she's running with her umbrella. So we want some movement in there. So let's go ahead and let's just do some light sketching. We're gonna go out here, like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and have just a few kind of shaky little marks, kind of in a zigzag, just to kind of get some texture in there for a skirt. And then it's gonna start to kind of curve out to the side, like the wind is blowing. And we're gonna have the upper part of the skirt, it's gonna look like it's sort of blowing out to the side. And we can decide what kind of skirt or dress do we want her to wear. Do we want it to be shorter? Do we want it to be a little longer? Do we want some tiers, some different layers of fabric underneath? So it's kind of like you are the fashion designer. I love that. So now it looks like the wind is blowing it over to the right. And then her legs. So we're not gonna put too much detail yet again, we're just gonna do very general. So think of the center of her body. So just pretend you have a line going through, okay? And so once you have that line, you feel good about it, you can just go ahead and put the center line in very, very lightly. So that's gonna be the line that separates her two legs. And then once you have that line, then we can just go ahead and put a leg on either side. And it kind of looks like one leg is behind and one leg is a little bit in front. So one's gonna be a bit smaller than the other. So we're gonna go ahead and have this outer edge. So imagine that is kind of like her thigh, her knee, and then her calf. And then we can just put a tiny bit of a foot, because remember, we're seeing the back of her foot, so there wouldn't be too much detail. I could just put a little line there, maybe that's the back of her heel for her shoe. And then for the other side of the leg, similar, but I'm just gonna make it a tiny bit smaller so it looks like that leg is in front walking forward. And we're just gonna go out, in, and then again, just barely seeing the foot, like that. And so I made this like a tiny bit shorter, like she's stepping forward. And I'm just seeing a tiny bit of the heel about in the area of where the ankle is for the leg that is behind her. Oh, I love this already. Okay, so that is our basic sketch of the woman. And now we're gonna go ahead and let's get painting. Okay, so get your palette out in front of you. If you need to do a few more sketching, go ahead. We'll do a couple minutes for you to kind of get that wrapped up. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments or the chat, and then I'll try and view those. And I'm gonna just get situated here. So acrylics, brushes, water container. Have those all super handy, get comfortable. And I do classes here in my home studio. Make sure we are social distancing and wearing masks for kids and also adults. So we do private lessons, group lessons. And I just put out the fall winter session, so that was really exciting. And so that's gonna start the end of September all the way to February of next year. And the classes are gonna be very small. It's for 1st through 12th grade. And I'm only taking 4 for the whole per session or per class. And that's on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for right now. So that will be very fun. And we're looking at contemporary artists, so artists that are alive right now. And of course, always doing birthday parties too. And make sure as you're getting comfortable with all your paints in front of you, grab another paper plate just to have in case you want to mix some colors. Just have another one on hand. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started painting. So with all of our acrylics, what we're going to do is we're gonna do a cool side and then a warmer side. So this is just gonna add some depth and some perspective, so some really nice atmospheric perspective. So all that means is that you're gonna have distance. So anytime you have coolness, it's gonna look like it's further away from you. Anytime you have warm, it looks like it's closer to you. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some kind of blue purples back here on the right side, and then I'm gonna shift it and it's gonna become a little warmer over here. And then I'm gonna create kind of a vignette, so a very dark kind of purple black outer edging all around it. And then we're gonna add some really exciting drips coming down from the top. So actually like rain, so that's gonna be super fun. So now with my square brush, I'm gonna be tackling the background, okay? Now if you wanna use a round, you can do that. I like the square, and the reason for that is because it literally is square the bristles. So you're gonna get a really nice kind of stripe look to it. And I like the brush stroke effect that the square creates for backgrounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna mix up some blue. So you could use the regular blue, that's the primary blue right here, or you could tweak it a little bit. You could mix up a little bit of red into your blue so it becomes a bit more of a violet purple, or even a little bit of an indigo. So there's an option, so just a little different. Another option is going a little bit more aqua. So you could take your blue, and to achieve some aqua, just take a little bit of some yellow into your blue. You don't worry, don't get nervous if it turns green, because what you're gonna do is you'll just add a little bit more blue to counteract the green. So you're just getting kind of nice teal. And then if you want to be even more aqua, you can add a little bit of white to it so that you can see what a gorgeous color. So really all of these three options are totally valid and you can pick which blue you would like. So this one here as a review is blue with a little red. This one is blue with a little yellow. And then I added a tiny bit more blue because it was getting too green. And then this is the exact same color over here, but white. So we made it a tint. So anytime I say tint, that's just white is added to a color. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna use this nice blue with the red. And you might have noticed I didn't wash my brush out. That's okay if you're just going into colors that are very similar to each other. You don't need to wash your brush out too much. Now colors opposite each other, if I needed to go into some yellow, you definitely wanna wash your brush out because you're gonna end up with tons of green. So now with your blue decided, we're gonna go ahead into the background and we're gonna do some fun vertical strokes here. And so we're just gonna go ahead back and forth with our brush. I'm using both sides of my brush, making sure I meet really close up to my outline, because there's nothing worse than having a white edge around something. Like you do your background really beautifully and then you get to your umbrella or something and then you have this white edge, okay? So we wanna make sure our background meets up to the objects. So the right side is going to be my cool side. And I'm not put off at all by having strokes showing. Some people really, that bothers them. If it does bother you, you just wanna make sure you have a lot of paint on your brush and so it's a solid color. I personally really like having strokes showing, so I'm gonna keep those. And plus it's raining, so we kind of wanna have some movement in there. So I'm just being really careful using the very edge of my square brush to get into all these little nooks and crannies. So make sure you go into around the elbow, around the umbrella, and just using those vertical strokes. It's okay if you accidentally, I got a little bit on the skirt. Just take your time. And I'm gonna carry that blue all the way to about where her feet are. So all the way, let me put that down a little bit so you can see where I'm going. So about to here. And if you see any white spots coming through from the canvas, just make sure you knock those down, get more paint on your brush, and cover those up. Just make sure you also flip your brush around on the opposite side because the paint tends to get pushed over onto the other side of your brush. Just make sure you go all the way up to the outer edge of the legs. I'm going right under that foot on both of the feet. There we go. And then the outer edge here of the blue, it can just be very random. We don't want it to be a perfectly straight line like I have, so we want to make sure we kind of break that up a little bit because we will add some darkness to the outer edge. And if you run out of the color, just go ahead and mix up some more. It's okay if it's not the exact match. It's good to have some variation. Okay, and now I'm gonna go ahead and over to the top of the umbrella. Any extra little marks that we have, just paint right over them if you don't want them. And so we're gonna go just a little past halfway on the top with the blue. Beautiful. And then once you have that blue down, just go ahead and wash your brush out really good. Oops, I see I missed a spot right by the leg here. So just make sure you get right up to the edge. Excellent. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to a warm color on the other side. So I'm going to still have it a little bit cool, but a bit warmer than the blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some red. And I'm going to take a little bit of some blue. So we're going to get a really nice purple here. Okay, so then once we get this purple, what we're going to do is we're going to add just a tiny bit of some yellow into it. And you can see you're going to get this kind of nice terracotta color. So I did red, tiny, tiny bit of blue, and some yellow. Now, if you want to do a different warm color, you want to be a little bit more vibrant, do just plain orange. That would look really great because blue and orange are complementary colors. So those are just colors opposite each other on the color wheel. So when they are paired together, they create the most contrast and vibrancy when they are together. So that is very nice. So this color here is a bit of a complementary color, but it's just a lot more neutral. So I'm going to try this out and see how it works out. So there's the colors. So that was red, a little bit of blue, and some yellow. So I'm going to try it and see what I think. So it's a bit brown. So what I think I need to do, I don't mind it, but I think it needs some more punch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my brush out. I'm still going to use that color because I really do like it. But I think we need to get a little bit more purple. I think it's getting a little bit too on the brown side. So let's try again. We're going to use the same color that we mixed up, but I'm going to add a little bit more red to it. Oh, that's gorgeous. I think that's more the route I want to go. Let's try it. Ooh. Ooh, I like it layered on top of that original color. Beautiful. Oh, I love it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this kind of more kind of neutral, purpley, yellow color first in a few areas. Then I'm going to layer this kind of cranberry color. So that was just red into this color right here. So a little review. So that color was mixed with the red, little blue, and lots of the yellow. And then the second color is just more red mixed into that color. And so have some fun though. If you want to just do some orange or if you want to do some pink, That would look really nice over here on the left side. Oh, I love this color. Just use some nice big strokes. You can see I have some extra blue on my brush, so that is translating onto the canvas. So there we go. Beautiful color. Oh yes, I see Kathy's comment. It does look like a dancer. Good observation. Dancing in the rain. It's so fun to do. Okay, so I need more of this color, so I'm just gonna go ahead, mix more red into it. And it's okay if your colors don't match, it's all right. I really like the way this is turning out here on the left side. So we have lots of colors kind of mushing together very nicely. And I'm just gonna do a few strokes, a little bit on the blue. You can see when you layer this color on top of the blue, it turns purple. So that's really beautiful. So we can even add a few strokes over onto the other side. Just make sure no white spots allowed on this canvas. So don't be scared to add more paint onto your brush. You can see what I'm doing at the top there. So all the way up to the top. And so I'm going all the way to the bottom and I'm carrying it over to the blue side because we don't want to have this division of like half and half. That's okay a little bit to be subtle, but we want to make sure that it's kind of crossing over both ways. So there's some blue going over to the warm, there's some warm going over into the blue side. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring this all the way across. And try and get all the way to the bottom of your canvas if you can. It's always a bummer having that little white edge right on the top of your canvas on the bottom. So I'm just bringing up a little bit of this cranberry color into the blue, just a little bit. And so I'm just bringing over this beautiful color. So this is just red with a little blue mixed in, and I'm just mixing it onto this dirty area that had a little bit of yellow on there, but I keep running out of paint, so I keep mixing it more. So lots of red, a little bit of blue, and then I'm sure there's a mixture of that kind of brown color too. Have some fun with some really nice, big, bold strokes. Make sure you're using your whole arm too. A lot of times artists get really stuck when they're painting or even their hand starts to cramp. And the problem is that you're not using your whole arm. So you're really not using your hand that much. You're using your shoulder and your elbow, your forearm. It's all working together. And so we will do a little bit darker vignette, but I'm going all the way over on that side with this color because it's always good to layer. And I'm going to bring over some of this beautiful color over onto the right side just a little bit. Lovely. And notice I have some blue emptiness over here. I need to make sure I fill that in. So you could just go into just your plain blue, or if you have a little bit of red still on your brush, just mix that together on your plate. And you can just go ahead and just kind of fill that in so we don't have any white spaces. There you go. So I'm just adding a little bit of blue on top of this cranberry color, just a little bit. And so we can add just a little bit of some blue over on this side. Ooh, look at that. And my paint is very wet over here. I definitely put down a liberal amount. Beautiful. Oh, I love this background. So I'm gonna wash my brush out really good. Once you have your background all filled in. So I'm gonna give you a few minutes to do that. And then if you want to add more warmth on the blue side and more blues on the warm side, just go ahead, add some little dashes into there. You just want to make sure if the blue is still wet, and if you want to add like lots of warmth, like you're thinking yellow, just wait for that because the yellow will turn green really fast, and the yellow is so translucent that even when the blue is dry, it will still turn green. So if you still want the yellow, just know that you probably need to add a little white to the yellow so that way it is opaque and it just sits on top. It doesn't become a glaze and it doesn't become a layering paint on the surface. Give you about 3 more minutes to work on that. Okay, you guys, we're gonna go ahead for our next step. And this is gonna get a little messy, okay? So if you have something down underneath your canvas, if it's up on an easel, so if you wanna put paper towels underneath your easel or on the table, go ahead and do that, because what we're going to do is we are going to be dropping some paint at the very top here down along the canvas, just a little bit. So that's just gonna add another layer to the background. If you don't wanna do this part, that's all right. You can just sit back and relax or work a little bit more on your background. But so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some drops of water and color along the top here. And then make sure you also have a clean paper towel in your hand, because the drops may end up on our lady here, and we want to make sure that she stays really nice and pristine and white. So what we need to do is just have a clean paper towel on hand so we can just blot out any sections that water and color end up on her. Okay, so make sure paper towels underneath, or you're in an area where it's okay if it gets a little messy. And what's great with the acrylics is they wash up very easily with soap and water. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop in some blues along the top. And now these blues can be the primary blue, could be the blue with a little red that we did earlier, or it could be a little bit more of a teal, so a tiny bit of yellow into the blue. So once you pick the blue that you want, I'll show you how to do it so you can kind of decide too for yourself if that's something that you want to tackle. So you need to make sure is that you get some blue mixed up, and I'm using my round brush. So round brush, some blue, and I'm going to take a tiny bit of red because I'm kind of already in this purple theme, so I want to just kind of keep with that. A little bit of red into the blue to kind of get a nice indigo. Okay, so now once I have my brush, my round brush loaded up with this indigo, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little water to it. I'm not gonna wash it out, I'm just adding a bit of water to it. Okay, so I just dip my brush into some water. So water is coated on the outside. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and on the edge of the canvas at the top, I'm just gonna go ahead and push the brush and all that extra paint off on the top edge here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get more water on your brush here, and you're just going to go ahead and dip it, and then along that edge with that extra paint and water, you're just going to add more water onto it with a little tap to kind of encourage it to go down. And it's okay, it's going to rub off a little bit of the background. And it's just starting to drip. Can you start to see it? There it goes. It's starting to drip. Down it goes. So just a little bit. Oh, there's a drip going onto the umbrella. Ah! Okay, so I don't want that, so I need to blot that out very quickly. And there we go. Save the day. Okay, so just adding a little bit more water to my indigo brush. And again, just kind of dabbing the water, little drops on that edge. And then there's another drip going through, so clean paper towel to clean that up. So you can see some of these drips are starting to come through, and it's just adding another layer to our painting. And you can decide how much drippage you would like. If you like a lot, just a tiny little bit. Just make sure they're not all at the same length. You want them very random. And if you want some to be longer, just add more water to that particular drip, and it will start to run down. Here you can see I just added more, and it's going, it's going. And then as you start doing it, it almost starts to become a little bit of a game, and starting to see which drip goes down the furthest. Which one is going to be the winner? So I'm just gonna do a few of those, and I'm gonna stop there on my blue side of the cool side of the canvas. I think that looks nice. Oh, I see another drip though. Let's clean that up. And the dress, I am gonna have it be yellow, so that's why I'm being so picky about keeping it very, very white, because any blue is gonna turn it green, and I really don't want my lady here to have a green dress. I want it to be a nice sunflower yellow dress, kind of like mine. Okay, so once you have that all nice and cleaned up, you have the right amount of drippage on this side, we're gonna go ahead and do some over on the other side. Now you could do blue, and when it goes on this side, they're gonna look kind of purple just on their own because we have a reddish cranberry background. But if you wanna add a different color, so let's say you wanna do pink, that could look actually really interesting, having drips that are lighter in their value of color. Then this side is a dark value. So that could look really interesting, but you could do blue and continue the blue on the other side, or you could do a different color. So either way, you really can't go wrong. I'll do a little bit of both so you can kind of see how it's gonna look. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little pink. So white with some red, and we're gonna try it and see what it looks like. And then, of course, lots of water once you have your color. So I'm going to try pink first, and then I'll go in with blue. So just go along the top edge, and then more water and drop it down. There it goes. So it's very subtle. I like that though. So it's not staring it in your face that, oh yeah, you took some water and some paint and just started dripping. So I kind of like that when the colors are very close to the background. So that way when you get closer up to the painting, then you start to realize, oh, there's something else going on here. Something else is happening. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more. So that's the pink ones, the pink water drops. Now I'm gonna go in with some blue again. So the same blue that's a little bit indigo. So the blue, the little red. And then I'm just gonna go in with, again, more water. And this is what's kind of neat about it, is you could go into all different colors and you could do this. And so I'm just going with a bit of blue on the top and more water. And you'll notice that it might start rubbing off the previous layers of paint, but I kind of like that. It has this distressed look to it. And so now you can start to see the drops a little bit more clearly with the darker color. You can see I'm just kind of tapping in some blue, but see there, it just took up a layer of the paint because it was so wet with the water drop, so it's taking off the layer of paint. And I don't mind that. It's just something to be aware of, that just know that the more water you add, the more likelihood is that it will start to take off the layer of paint. So you can see here, ooh, this is exciting. Oops, I just did a little mark there. No problem, just add a little bit more paint and some water. But you can see here, and this is what I'm trying to show you, is this area here. So right here, these lines, so that's from the water droplets running down, and they're actually taking off some of the paint, but I really like that. That's what I want, and so I kind of want that to happen on this side too. So I'm gonna add a little bit more drops on this side and see if I can get it to happen, because I really like that look. So I'm just adding a few more drops. Oh, there it goes. It's starting to happen on the bottom here, or you can see it. So I think just a few more, and then we're gonna move along to painting our dress nice bright yellow and painting our umbrella in. This time has gone by so fast, you guys. This has been so fun. Just a few more things to do. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's move on. So wash your round brush out really good because we're going to use that for the yellow. So if you need to get a new cup of water, go ahead and do that because we don't want our yellow paint to turn green when we wash our brush out. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and do our first coat of yellow, and then we'll go ahead and do our umbrella, then do a second coat of some yellow, and then we'll do the legs, and then we'll do a little signature. Okay, so I have with me right here for my yellow is kind of this really nice sunflower yellow. If you have a very, very bright yellow, that also works perfectly fine. So any yellow you have on hand, go ahead and load up your round brush, which has been cleaned very well. And we're gonna go ahead with this nice bright yellow. We're gonna go into the dress. We're gonna fill that in and get that really nice and loaded and covered thoroughly. So then that way, no white spots are showing, and then that way we have a nice coat of paint down, and then we're gonna go into the skirt. And I noticed some blue drip is still dripping, even though I stopped. So go ahead, don't paint right over that with the yellow because it's gonna turn green, the skirt. So just go ahead, get a clean paper towel, wipe that out really good. Make sure no other drip is gonna come down. Okay, now we can carry on. And just go ahead all the way right up to the edge. And all of this area is gonna be a nice bright yellow. There we go, there's our first coat. If you have a little sliver over here on the side, make sure you fill that in. Beautiful. And then why don't we go ahead, the arms could either be skin or it could be the dress. So I'm gonna make it still the dress. So there's yellow sleeves also on the dress. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fill those in. Wonderful. And then once we have all the yellow and the arms covered, so then we're gonna go into the umbrella, and I'm gonna do a nice bright kind of orange. So what I need is some yellow, and I'm gonna put it off to the side on my palette. And I'm gonna take a tiny bit of red. I think I need a little bit more red. And then once you have a color you like, then you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna fill in the umbrella. And we're gonna have a few strokes of some other colors thrown in here, but for the majority of the umbrella, I'm gonna have it this orange. There we go. So any white areas that are showing, that's okay because we can just go into some plain yellow. I didn't wash my brush out, but we can just go into some plain yellow and just do some dashes, kind of curve with the stroke that you applied when you did those lines for the umbrella in the same direction. It can just be very painterly. So what that means is it actually is just lots of strokes, thick paint, very loose, which is also called gestural. So it's very kind of dramatic. Just lots of paint. Look at how gorgeous that looks. Just having lots of paint, big strokes, paint's kind of melding and mushing together on the surface. Just have some fun with those strokes. And then for our legs, one's gonna be a little bit lighter because of the light. So think this is gonna be our warmer side. So it's gonna be warmer, lighter on this leg, and it's gonna be a little bit darker on the other leg. So think of kind of a shadow because remember that leg is going forward. So with the light leg, I'm just gonna go in with some white, some yellow, a little orange. And then for the other leg, I'm gonna do some purple. That matches the skirt a little too much, so I'm gonna go with more orange. You might think at first, really an orange leg, but it will work because we're getting the light source right. So as long as the light source is right, the color actually really doesn't matter. As long as it's at the right lightness and the right darkness, it'll work. Okay, so now for the dark leg, I'm gonna go in with some purple. So blue, a little red. So that, I just wanna make sure it is purple, it's not more blue because this is the blue side with the background. We wanna make sure it can differentiate from the background. And the purple is magic with the sunflower yellow, and that is because purple and yellow are complementary colors. And I'm gonna make the shoes, now we just see the back of the heels, but I'm gonna make them red. So just a little dash and a little dash. Excellent, look at that. So we did yellow, kind of sunflower color, then we did some orange with some yellow dashes on our umbrella, going with the curvature of the umbrella with our strokes. And then we have a orangey leg that's in the light, a purple leg that is the shadow, and some red backs of the shoe there. And then lastly, we're just gonna add some more yellow onto the dress for our second coat, just to kind of clean that up a little bit. There we go. in with our little tiny detail brush, if you have one. Now, you do not have to do this step, but if you want to, what you can do is add a little ribbon going off of the waist. So what I'm going to do is with my detail brush with a little white, just going to go ahead and do a dash with my brush across the waist, and the wind is blowing, so maybe the ribbon is flying off to the side. Just like that. And I love it when the brush skips and it kind of breaks your line and then it goes back down. It makes it look more realistic. So that was just a bit of white, and you can see the white mixed with the yellow when I did that one drag. So right here, it's kind of hard to see on the video, but right here, there's a little yellow that dragged out, which I think looks really nice. And just a few other little things with the details. So you can go in with a little black with a detail brush, and you can go into the center of the umbrella. You could even go in and do a few little dashes for the lines or the spokes for the umbrella, and they can just be kind of broken lines, nothing too heavy. If you want to, you do not have to do that. And I love it when they're just like these little wiggle, kind of sketchy lines. I'm using the top of my canvas to help my hands stay steady because I do have naturally really shaky hands. So anytime anyone tells me I'm terrible at straight lines or shaky hands, I say, me too. Because it's something I've had my whole life and I tend to embrace it, and it works out very nice for doing sketchy or impressionist kind of blurry paintings. So just a few little lines here and there. And you know, this will also just make it look more illustrative. So kind of like out of a fashion book, or, you know, like those vintage magazines. And so I'm just adding a few little lines here and there. And then if you are getting to the end at this point, or if you have somewhere you need to be, feel free. You can log out anytime, and this will be posted hopefully. I just realized I said save this recording to my computer, so I really hope my computer can hold it. If it doesn't, I'll just redo the video myself and try and post it onto Facebook. If that doesn't work, I'll post it onto my YouTube channel, Wilhelmina Art Studio, which I realize is not open to the public, so I think I will switch that to make it so everyone can watch the videos, because I did about 15 online pre-recorded videos for the spring session, because we were only together for 2 weeks before COVID hit. So then we switched online. So I have all of those online videos that I would love to share with everyone, because it ended up turning into about 15-hour work weeks of just doing one video a week. And I put lots of art history, and I really got into it. So I love to share that with everyone. So I'll make that public today. And like I said, I'm in Rochester, Minnesota, Southwest Rochester, and my studio is Wilhelmina Art Studio. And feel free to send me any Venmo payments for this class. And my account name is Willow G and the number 3. So Willow G3. I'm wearing a beret, a black hat, and that was when I did a trip to the Netherlands. Okay, so just a few more little lines here, and then that is it, you guys. We're gonna do a little signature. At the bottom, I like doing my initials, just very quick. Don't do it back and forth, otherwise you're gonna end up with a name that's super chunky. So just very quick, don't be too picky about the way it looks, because it is paint. So just a W and a G for myself. And there we go, you guys. There's our painting. Ooh, I see Kathy has her painting. Hold on, Kathy, let me take a picture of it. Oh, that is, oh my goodness. That looks so good. Hold on, hold on. Wow, I love it. Here, let me go this way. Very good. Wow, I'm impressed, Kathy. Good work. Did you like the drips? Yeah, it was super fun. Good job. Well, thank you for joining. This was super fun. Bye. Thank you guys so much. Have a great Sunday and an awesome week and also an artful day. See you later. Bye-bye.